Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Peach State Payments, Recover, Chiro HD, Softwave, Cool Blue BA, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Script AI, Chiro Moguls, The Chiro Speaking Company, Pure Chiro Notes, 5-Star Forge, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, and the IFCO. You can benefit from our full list of sponsors by visiting the sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 676 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Tim Young, and we talk about principles, and you do not need to add anything else to chiropractic to be successful with it. Stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. Today I have Tim Young coming on, Oklahoma City, I believe, and I'm out here in beautiful Colorado. Before we get into his story today, talking about Focus Oklahoma, Focus Foundation, and technique, we're also going to talk about principles and that you don't need to add anything more to chiropractic to be successful with it. I'm going to let you know our big why. Why do we do what we do here at Chiro Hustle? First things first is freedom of speech. I believe that's one of the most important things that we can ever rely on as a society. So I like to keep freedom of speech alive for chiropractors, and that's what our platform stands for. We also believe in medical freedom and family health freedom. If you're having a hard time discerning where to go for your health or your family's health, reach out to a chiropractor in your neighborhood or your city. If you need help with that, Dr. Tim or I can help you find a chiropractor in your city or state. As we get a bit more philosophical within our show, we do protect the sacred trust. It's BJ Palmer's last written words. If you need to know more about that, go to our show notes, click on the sacred trust. You're going to learn more about chiropractic than you did previously. And I know Dr. Tim and I both resonate with this, as we believe in subluxation-based chiropractic. If you're at a college and they're not producing that for you, because I know that they're watering it down at these universities, take this interview and please share the show so these kids can understand what real deal chiropractic is, and they can start understanding what innate intelligence is, universal intelligence, and educated intelligence. And that's the last part of our introduction. We believe that when man or woman, the physical gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual, and that creates an educated intelligence. And with that, this is episode 676 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. Tim Young, welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, man, we come right for the throat with our introduction, because I know that people might not listen to the whole show. At least they got 2 minutes of power. So I try to open it up the right way.
Perfect. Well, I hope they do listen to the whole show, because we got a lot of information for them.
Yeah. Well, I know that you've been doing the Focus Oklahoma live event. How many years have you guys been doing that?
We just finished our 15th year anniversary, so we've been doing it for 15 years. And it was one of our best years. We love what we do here.
And tell me how that all came to be, because I don't know if many people know, like 15 years, what it takes to keep doing it year to year.
So about 17 years ago, I went to my very first Cal Jam, Billy DeMoss out in California. Most people know who that is. And I found him by accident. I was just online. I Googled chiropractic philosophy, because I've just been a student of chiropractic since I decided to become a chiropractor. And this Dead Chiropractic Society thing come up, and I saw this seminar, and I just decided to go. And I flew to California from Oklahoma by myself. I didn't even tell anybody. I just went and sat there in the crowd with 2,000 or 3,000 crazy chiropractic fans, and just fell in love. I fell in love with the energy and the philosophy. And then I realized, because I was in such a bubble, like so many chiropractors are, we get in our own little bubbles. We come out of school, we're not exposed to the profession. We go back to our towns, and then we practice in this little tiny community, and that's all we know other than our continuing ed seminars, which are in our own little bubble. Then I was sitting there, and thousands of chiropractors from all over the world that thought like I did, that believed what I believed, and it was mind blowing. And so I don't think in all the years of Cal Gym, I never missed, but about 3 years in, I tell the story a lot. I was actually here in Oklahoma City, and I was on a bike ride. I used to do a lot of road biking, and it was about a 30 mile ride, and about 15 miles in, I made a turn. As I was coming back home, it just hit me. Focus, and Focus is an acronym for the Fountain of Chiropractic Understanding. And by the time I got home, I already had my first talk. I knew what I wanted to look like. I knew who I wanted to speak. I hadn't even met Billy DeMoss. I had met Brett Glowacki. I had met a lot of these people. Rob Sinnott. I can't think there's one more. But anyway, I had this whole vision in my head, and I told my wife, I said, this is what I want to do. And she said, okay, we're going to do this next year. And I said, no, we're going to do this in about 3 months. So we threw together our very first meeting with no experience in this at all. Here in Oklahoma City, we had over 300 people show up our first meeting. It was crazy. And that's when I first met Billy. I reached out. He came. Brett Glowacki came. Rob Sinnott came. Gosh, I wish I could think of the other one. You know who it is. He teaches at Life now. Anyway, so we had this first meeting, and it was so powerful. It was so overwhelming, and there was such an unbelievable response. We had lots of students come from Parker and Kansas City and Life, and then doctors in the field, and it's perpetuated. And now we've become, 15 years later, we've just become, synonymous with chiropractic. We are known for the chiropractic philosophy seminar and the energy and the family atmosphere. My kids, my personal kids have been raised in Focus. My kids were little. They were the ones that were handing out tickets and giving badges. And my son I think he was in middle school. He was recording with his own. We had him recording meetings, and it's just been a family event, and it still is.
I love this message so much, and I think that a lot of people are going to learn from it too. Who knows who the next great seminar will be, and who knows who will learn from the blueprint that you've laid out there. Let's talk a little bit about not only Billy D starting Cal Gym, but let's talk about these other offshoots that are actually making a big impact in the profession too, like Paul Reed doing Chiro Fest, and Danny Knowles, where we just saw each other a couple weekends ago doing Mile High.
Yeah, Danny, it was funny. When we started Focus, and it just took off, and we had such a big response. I got to, here's the thing. I looked at Cal Gym, and Cal Gym, Billy always had it in the first of the year, like February, March. And then I thought, well, but if we had wait a whole year before Cal Gym, then that's just a whole year. So I decided to have, Focus in the summer, when the hottest time of Oklahoma. And then a couple of years later, Danny Knowles reached out to me, and he said, hey, I've been to Cal Gym. I hear Focus is doing great. He said, I really want to do something up here in Denver. How did you do it? And I shared everything that I knew. I shared, what we did and how we got it started and how we reached out. Great. And then it was, and I don't remember the timeline, but let's just say another year or 2 years later, then Paul Reed reached out. He said, hey, I want to do this thing in Seattle. And it was funny, I'll never forget, because Paul had it in his head that he was going to get a huge tent, and just like back in Lyceum, back in the Palmer Lyceum days, this big tent. And I don't think that worked out so well. And then even Devin Verano with a big idea. She started this up in Wichita. Devin he's got a huge event, and so all these different events. And then Billy calls them. He loves Billy. His term is his little chiropractic terrace cells. Cal Gym was, gosh, I think the biggest we hit one year was 4,000 people. And then we've got Focus, and we've got Chiro Fest and Mile High with Danny. And the importance is every single one of them. And I know there's New Beginnings, and I know there's DE, and I've spoken at all of those events. I spoke over at Ross McDonald over at in Edinburgh, the Edinburgh Lectures. Ross, I spoke there. I spoke in Amsterdam at Axiom. I've spoken that one. And so worldwide, we have these chiropractic events, and they're all so powerful, and they're all so important. And I will tell you, for me, one of the biggest benefits I've had is there are so many speakers and so many leaders within the profession that get asked to speak at all these different events that I've become great friends with. I've gotten to know well. We all have the same mission. We have the same passion, the same drive, and we end up showing up at all the 11 meetings. So I get to see my friends over there. Ryan Reeder, he spoke at Mile High this weekend. I've known, Brian has been a friend of mine. He's over in Windsor. He used to have me come and speak to his group, and now he speaks at Focus. And so we really, honestly, James, for the most part, we really, really take care of each other because we're all on the same mission. We have the same passion. It's to perpetuate and maintain and protect this sacred trust. And we do it with our own energy, with our own personalities, but we have the same purpose behind it. And I think that's probably the most powerful thing. A lot of people don't get this. I have, we'll talk about it. I have my own coaching group. I'm a chiropractic coach and my own mentorship. But I ask a lot of the other coaches, Troy Dukowich and all of those guys, Brad, they all come and speak at Focus. And I get asked, why would you do that? Because it isn't about me. It isn't about me. And I think it's about the profession. And if someone can help someone, then that's what we need to do. And that's what I love about Danny, and that's what I love about Paul and Billy. We all have our own entities, and it becomes a business. There's a lot of work into it. But man, we help each other. We'll reach out to each other. We'll push and support each other. We'll speak at each other's events. We'll do whatever we can to keep this thing alive. And I think that's probably one of the most powerful things about it, in my opinion.
And I love you being so open and helpful with people too. Let's talk a little bit about students now, because I think that's a really important thing. As my introduction, I'm like, look, please share the show. If you guys are watching right now, you have a student in your life that needs to know where to go to learn philosophy, science, and art of chiropractic. Dr. Tim has shared so much of resources of his colleagues and friends that are doing it the right way. But let's talk about the students and how can we support them better?
Man, I tell you what, it's reaching out and getting a hold of them. I have for years, I have traveled throughout the country and put on student adjusting seminars. I have my own technique, MST, the motion specific technique, and it's basically a diversified technique that I have kind of mastered my version of it. But it's not even about that. It's about getting out there and reaching out there and helping these students. I've gotten so busy that I just don't have time to go to every single school like I used to. But I have one big student event every year. But look, here's the thing about the schools and students. If we have students listening to this right now, I have to tell you this. It doesn't matter what school you're going to. We have some that are really good, some that are not so good. That's kind of irrelevant. You are not going to learn to be a successful chiropractor at school. It's not going to happen. I promise you. There's not one school out there, and I am friends with the presidents, and they'll hear this, and they know I'm telling the truth. It's nothing. I'm not knocking the school. I'm just saying you're not going to learn to be a successful chiropractor at school. You're going to have to step out and go find it, like I did. And like almost all the hugely successful chiropractors in the country or in the world, I know most of them, they will tell you that they didn't learn this in school. So that you have to go to the seminars, and you have to get out and you have to read your green books. You have to listen to other chiropractors. You have to go to offices that are successful and learn from the profession. That's probably the biggest message that I can get through to all the students. But if you are a chiropractor and you love this profession, go find a student to help. Come into your office, teach them to adjust, show them what it took for you to become successful. I mean, I spend every single day helping chiropractors, literally almost daily. Every single day, I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning, sitting right here, talking to chiropractors throughout the world, trying to help them just get the ball rolling in the right direction. Because if chiropractors fail in practice, if they're not successful and they fail and they shut their doors and they don't make it, that hurts us. That does not help us as a profession. If we had a million chiropractors making $1 million a year, we would own the world. But we don't. And that's, unfortunately, it's because they didn't learn it. And then the people that know it are selfish and they're holding on to themselves. Like they don't want to share those things. I'll share with anybody everything. It doesn't matter. I'll do anything that I can to help you. And that's what we got to do more of.
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Peach State Payments, Recover, Chiro HD, Softwave, Cool Blue BA, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Script AI, Chiro Moguls, The Chiro Speaking Company, Pure Chiro Notes, 5-Star Forge, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, and the IFCO. You can benefit from our full list of sponsors by visiting the sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle. Well, I think that that's really important too. Maybe we can actually go a little bit more granular and share some ideas with students on books, because I know that it doesn't matter if you read 1,000 books; it's the one book that you read that you actually implement. So, if you could recommend something to a text or a book that really had an impact on you, what would you suggest?
I would say the hard part is going to be for students. The hard part for students is a lot of the things they're going to read, they're not really going to understand yet. But I'm going to say anything Fred Barge. And I will, either you can go on to fredbarge.com, or I think it's tor.com is the website. But Are You the Doctor? That is a staple. I have told more chiropractors in the last 30 years to read that book than any other book that there is. Are You the Doctor by Fred Barge. All of you should have it with you at all times. Life Without Fear. Those two are your staples. Herbert Ross Reaver, A Man Worth Knowing. You can get that book. I should have had all those websites. I didn't know you were going to ask me that. But the Herbert Ross Reaver, A Man Worth Knowing. You need to read about Dr. Reaver. If you can find this book, this is, I heard somebody just told me that they found it on eBay for like $2,000. So don't pay that. But The Chiropractic Story, also by Marcus Bach. It's the number one best chiropractic book that there is. If you can find it, the green book, The Glory of Going On. Everybody should have that on their desk, in their backpack. It should always be with them. And The Bigness of the Fellow Within. Those are the biggest number one books that I can think off the top of my head that I have read more than anything else. That it keeps me grounded and keeps me in the game of this after 30 years.
Well, I'll tell you a quick story. I worked in 10 states this year helping chiropractors grow their practices, doing events for them. And I had the privilege of working in La Crosse, Wisconsin. And that's where Fred Barge was practicing. And his clinic is still running up there. And they have his books for sale from that practice. So I stopped in one day, and they have the books for sale from the clinic. So I stopped in and met the people running the office and bought a couple books. So if you guys ever go to La Crosse, Wisconsin, go stop at the original Fred Barge clinic. You can go buy books there personally.
Yeah, or you can go to www.torstore.org. TORSTORE.org. Patty, Fred's daughter, is actually in my coaching group. And what's funny is Patty's daughter is in my coaching group, and so is Sigafus's son is also in my coaching group. So I got the big people in the profession, the giants. Their kids are now I'm working with, and because and the reason is because I preach the principle. I'm keeping what Fred Barge taught, the principles that he taught, that he lived by. He was such an icon. I'm just carrying that flame. I'm carrying that torch, and I'm just doing it in 2024. Like, we have a different way of practicing. We have a different practice Fred did back in the 60s and 70s, but the principles are still the same. And so that you go to that website and he has a ton of books, but those are my favorites.
Yeah, and I also think that if people are looking for those green books, I think that the Delts actually produce the green books and sell them. So if you guys are looking to go find green book copies, I believe the Delts, you can go to their website. I don't know what it is, but go to the Delts website and you can get a reproduction of these green books that Dr. Tim was talking about.
Perfect.
Technique. I know that that's also a thing. I talk to chiropractors just like you from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep. Chiropractors love getting advice from me and asking me where to go, who to trust, what to do. And I tell them a couple things. You have to go and take technique seminars. You have to become very specific with your art, and you have to become a great adjuster. That's the one thing that makes a chiropractor unique, distinct, and not obvious. Those are the same actually frameworks that allow somebody to become patented. So you have to become unique, distinct, and non-obvious. And technique is one of those things within a chiropractic practice which makes you distinct, unique, and non-obvious. So if you were to give some guidance to help people understand where to go get the best technique, I know you have a seminar you said you do as well. Where did you learn your technique from?
So, well, my teacher and mentor, and he's still alive, Dr. Hugo Gibson, he taught at Cleveland Chiropractic School, and he was one of the most amazing to this day, I've never seen anybody's hands move as fast and as certain and as sure as Hugo Gibson. His nickname was Thunder Thumbs. The guy was like lightning. He didn't adjust the bone. He set the bone. He set it, and it was an experience like no other. And that's who I learned from. That was my mentor. And then I've got to give a lot of credit to Dr. Mitch Malley out of Davenport. Mitch Malley is an extremity guru, adjusting extremities. And I spent a lot of time with him in my young career. His hands were like lightning. It was accurate, and it was the line of drive, and it was the speed. And then I took what he taught me and what Hugo taught me, and I combined those things. And then just with a high volume practice, here's the thing: when you see 250, 300 patients a day for a long, long time, you get good with your hands, because what you're saying is I built my practice from the adjustment. I didn't build it any other way. It was from the adjustment and results with chiropractic. When I started my practice, we didn't even have the internet yet. It wasn't even a thing, right? So there was no social media. It was all word of mouth referral, and you get the word of mouth referral because you get results through the chiropractic adjustment. But and it's kind of funny. I had a patient this morning. He said something that I wanted to share. He said he's a businessman, really successful businessman here in Oklahoma City. He said, "Doc, you're an enigma." He said, "I've never seen anything like this place." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, I pull in the parking lot and it's full, and I didn't wait any more than 5 minutes, and I'm in and I'm getting ready to walk out. He said, "And I've never felt like this in my life." He goes, "It's unheard of. I don't know how to explain it." And I just kind of smiled and said, that's chiropractic. The reason I can do that is because the technique that I teach, I call this motion specific technique. I am just so passionate about how we adjust. We do not manipulate. We specifically adjust. We take x-rays. We look for the stress in the spine. We find where the motion is restricted. We restore the proper motion, maintain the motion long enough to allow the body to heal. That's what we do, but we do it specifically. Specific bone, specific vertebrae, specific side, specific line of drive with the right force, right intention, all of those things together. It's what I teach. And gosh, I was just in London. I was in London in the spring. I sold that seminar out. I was just in Canada, 2 days full. I'm getting ready to go back to London again. Everywhere I go, when I put on this seminar, and I've been doing it for, 12, 13 years now with just this particular seminar, everywhere I go, it sells. Now, are there other good technique seminars? Yeah, the MST, I think the MST guys are doing a really, really good job. I know John Minardi has his Minardi Thompson technique. He's really good at what he does. I have a lot of respect for John. And there's some good ones out there. I practice the way I practice, and I want to teach the way I practice. And one of the reasons is I've yet to find any other technique that I've seen that can teach you how to get the best results in the quickest amount of time and create a successful practice at the same time. I don't just teach technique. I teach how to apply it in your practice in order to be able to, it's where you can perpetuate and be more successful financially with it. I mean, that's another thing. You can be the best technique. I know some of the most philosophical people that have philosophy degrees that struggle in practice. And I know other guys that they're the best their hands. They can move a bone better than anybody. They struggle in practice. You got to be able to put all those things together and know how to package it in a way that people understand it and know what you're doing. And that's part of what I teach also. So it's really, really important that you don't just teach technique, but you teach it how to apply it into everyday practice. And I think that's really important. And I don't know if there's anybody else really doing that.
Well, I think there's a huge value add with the business modeling. And I think that we don't have to recreate things. We just have to find a system that works and plug that into what we're doing. That's the best type of practices I ever see out there are the ones that have great mentors that learn a system and then go and deploy that system. And they don't have to recreate something based on their dreams and ideas and visions. They can include that into something that's already working. And having a coach like yourself that's actually has a proven model, I don't think of a better place to send people to. So if you guys are curious about how to do that, go to Focus Foundations, check out Tim's coaching group, and go check out one of his technique seminars, and at least go and learn and see if it's right for you. That's the best thing with anybody that's coming out of school, is jumping in, or say you've been out for 2 to 3 years and you're nicked up. You don't have a lot of confidence and your self-esteem might be struggling, and you're looking for a group to plug into that can help guide you and like stand next to you so you're not alone. I think that's another really huge component of what you were saying earlier in our opener. You don't have to go out there and practice and fail. You can go out there and practice. And I think the hardest thing, one of my teammates was asking me like, hey man, why aren't there more people at this chiropractic at Mile High? I was like, well, I think a lot of times chiropractors that are out in private practice, they don't want to show up to these things because they have a couple of deep concerns in their life, guilt, shame, or fear. And they're afraid to come out because people are going to ask them how they're doing. And they don't want to tell each other. They don't want to tell on themselves. They don't want to tell people how they're actually doing in practice. So I do think it's really important for people to actually find somebody like yourself that they can like mentor with and get that trust with, and actually spill the beans and see what the biggest problems are so we can start fixing them.
Well, and just really quickly before we get done, that's one of the things I wanted to mention too is, I'm not, there's a lot of great coaches, a lot of great mentors out there, but as far as I know, I am the only one that does it the way I do it. I actually, my program has video of me actually doing it, recorded video of me with patients and seeing patients and doing a consultation, exam, reported findings, adjusting. I got one video, I saw 44 patients with a new patient and reported findings in 1 hour, saw 113 that morning. And it's all recorded so you can watch it. It's not just me telling you what to do. You can actually sit and watch me do it. And then that way you know how to apply it yourself. We have over 400 doctors in over 20 countries. I mean, I have doctors in Malaysia, Indonesia, Germany, Sweden, Switzerland, all over the world that I've never met. They've never come watch me practice. They've never seen it, but they've watched the videos, and they're all exploding because the system works, because chiropractic works. It's real simple. It's not, you're not adding, I'm not going to add more to your system or to your practice. I'm going to remove a lot of unnecessary things and get you to focus on the most important thing, which is the adjustment, tell the truth, deliver on that, and then everybody becomes successful. To your point, I've got doctors coming out of school in their first year, seeing over 200 patients a week, collecting $400,000 or $500,000 a year, year one. And then I talk to doctors who've been in practice 30 years that don't do a third of that. So the system works because chiropractic works. They work together. So to your point, I really appreciate you bringing that up.
Well, you said before we went live, you said there's principles and you don't need to add anything extra to it to be successful. And I think that's the greatest takeaway of today's conversation with you.
Yeah, James, and that's the biggest message that I want to share is this. You do not have to remove the principle. You do not have to add to chiropractic to become successful at chiropractic. Keep it simple, move the bone, get out of the way, let innate do the educating, let innate do the healing. You tell them when to come back. That's all you have to do. It's just not, the problem is chiropractors think we're doctors, and so we're so educated, we want everybody to know how smart we are. We're never going to be smarter than innate. We're never going to be smarter than the creator. So if you'll just get out of the way and let the creator do his job like it was intended to do, then you get to reap the rewards. That's the biggest message that I can get through, and I can show you how to do it. So if people want to connect with you or learn more about you, what web resources should we send people to? You can go to focusfoundations.com. That's the website. There's videos on there that explain what we do. There's testimonies. It explains it. You can email me personally. It's movingbones@yahoo.com, MVNBONZ@yahoo.com. And I give everybody, I'm the only one that'll do this too, as far as I know. Maybe there's someone else, I don't know. My cell phone number is 405-514-5373. If there is anyone that needs anything, you have a question, you have a concern, you're going through a tough situation, I don't care what it is, you reach out to me. I keep this with you. I will get back with you, and I will take it serious. I don't do this for me. There's a much higher calling for me, and it's to this profession has provided me a life, James, that it is ridiculous. I get to live in a way that where I'm from in the hills of Missouri, if you would have told me 40 years ago that this would be your life, there's no way I could even understand it. And so I believe it is absolutely my responsibility to give back to this profession everything it's given me, and I've got a long ways to go.
Well, Dr. Tim Young, thank you for being episode 676 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. Go to focusfoundations.com. Text the man on his hotline, 405-514-5373. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you want to add before we call it a day?
No, I really appreciate you having me on there. It's important what you're doing. It means a lot to me. Those that are taking the time to listen to this short podcast, I'm getting ready to leave right now. I go straight back to my office and deliver those adjustments like I'm talking to you about. Just understand that the chiropractic principle that was laid down for us in the very beginning, is so powerful, and it's just as true today as it was yesterday. And if you will get that in your heart, Dr. Gibson says this, we're going to finish with this. Your chiropractic adjustment is your signature, and it defines who you are as a chiropractor. Always remember that.
Amen, brother. Well, I'll let you get back to the office, and I close out all the time telling people, you guys are just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye, guys. Thanks, James.
Yeah, bye for now. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.